So we are about ready for the final session this day. Basically, is a summary of what we did at the hackathon in first day of the conference before everyone joined afterwards to the welcome party. So this is basically a summary of what we did on Tuesday and of the work that everyone did who attended it. So first of all, quick show of hands. Who of you have attended a Fresco hackathon before? So I would say a quarter or a third. I mean, like, if you attended this hackathon, you can also put your hand up if you haven't done so. But it's looked like more like a third or so, or just a bit about more than a quarter. So not a lot of people have attended a hackathon before. So maybe a few words about what a hackathon at a Fresco actually is. So one thing to make clear is that we are not doing a traditional hackathon that you might be aware of or might know from other companies, from other software development companies. So using the default definition that you can find on a often misquoted internet source, usually a hackathon only has a focus on software development, on creating some kind of product, creating some kind of a solution. It can be very oriented on a design sprint, basically what you would do in a project over the week, you could do in a hackathon over 24 hours or 36 hours with really a great team just dedicated to this project without any interruptions, maybe even with as little sleep as possible, and the cheapest catering possible, pizzas and sodas and beer, yeah, stuff like this. And in many cases, the goal is to create a usable software. That means usable in terms of production ready or near production ready, that you can then showcase to investors or to someone to actually start a company with. So something that is valuable to a wide audience, not just to interests. And in some cases, it can be even in terms of a competition and as a challenge from a software vendor like Alfresco, for example. When you take the example of one of the most, let's say, disputed or controversial hackathon in the recent years that Salesforce did, for example, in 2013, they awarded $1 million to the top hackathon contender. And actually, afterwards, it turned out one of the guys who was working on the team was a previous employee, previous engineer at Salesforce. And another stuff, they worked actually on the project for a couple of months. It was already a live project, so not really developed in that hackathon. So yeah, there can be a lot of money made in hackathons, but that's not the case in Alfresco hackathons. Alfresco hackathons are different. I mean, if there could be money in there, it would be a great motivator for more people to attend. So far, it has not been the case. Maybe next year or the next conference, some sponsor would want to pay for or would want to kind of define a prize for the best hackathon entry. But then, of course, we would have to have a kind of objective jury to judge the different entries. That might be difficult in a community as diverse as our community with different interests. So an Alfresco hackathon that we are doing at the Alfresco conferences, DevCon, Summit, as well now as in BeeCon, is basically focused around open-ended collaboration. It's not so much a matter of what is the result at the end of the day. It's more a matter of the journey towards that result, of how you collaborate with your fellow members of the community, how you can use that event to learn from other people, to network and to socialize with those people that you've never seen. For example, learn about different kinds of development approaches and different styles of development. And also leave the work filter behind. It's not about what you're doing at work, it's about what you want to do with the Alfresco community, with other members, what you are interested in. So there's a way to basically leave your cubicle and widen your area of expertise or your perspective. During the hackathon, basically anything goes. So it doesn't have to be a coding project, it can be also a non-technical project. You can work on documentation for the Alfresco community platform or for some add-ons. You can take some old projects that have been idle in terms of maintenance and can adopt them to a newest version of Alfresco. So basically anything goes, anything with an asterisk. We try to keep it a bit clear of marketing content, of sales content. So it should be about the experience of the people there, not to create a tool for you to sell your services. I mean, there are options to do that, but it has to be done smartly and not just for your own purpose in that regard. In some cases, it can even go so far that people hire you based on their experience working with you at the conference. I think Yunus, something based on a conference, Yunus had found a job, his current job, for example. And you're free from constraints from your pointy-hand boss. So from your line manager or project manager, you can finally do work the way you want to do. And lastly, the most obvious point, or the most important point, is just to have fun, to enjoy yourself, and have a great time. So just take a quick look on the history of the Alfresco hackathons, just to give you a bit of a perspective. Unfortunately, the history is a bit spotty in terms of the recorded history. So we have a history of community events in the community platform. This was migrated from the old wikis, and I think Jeff and Richard started maintaining it when they were responsible for the community management. But not a lot of summits, not a lot of DEF CON or Summit hackathons actually made it into this system. So it's a bit spotty to find out when was the first real hackathon being organized. My first hackathon was in DEF CON 2012 in Berlin, organized at that time by Nathan McMinn, I think supported with Jack Potts. I think he was the first conference. You were the community chief at the time. And I believe, from hearsay, I know that in 2011 in London there were hacker rooms, but not a real hackathon. But maybe you can correct me on that.
I don't recall, actually.
I just thought that there were some rooms where people hacked on some projects. So it might not have been an organized event, but basically a self-organized social event of people hanging out together and working on code while sessions were going on in different rooms. Yeah. And after the success of our various hackathons at DEF CON summits, so when we had DEF CON in Europe as well as North America, I think each of these locations had their own hackathon, the same with the summits. I think the attendance was always better in Europe due to the more lively open source community around Alfresco in our region. And after the success of those hackathons, we also started a virtual hackathon. This is basically an annual event. Usually we do it on the other half of the year where there's no summit or no BeeCon. So we started it, I think, in spring because summits used to be in fall. Now we're doing it in fall because BeeCon is in spring. So look forward to the next virtual global hackathon somewhere around maybe August to November, depending on the specific timing. I think this will be something that I'm going to organize either with Richard, Tristan, or Francesco in the coming month to determine a bit more concrete time frame. But since then it has been an annual event, and this is basically a virtual variant of a hackathon where people work from their homes or from organized hacker rooms. For example, one year, I think the first year, Boris organized a full room at his place of work where people could meet from the area and work together in the same location. But usually people attend via IRC, via Google Hangout, work together via the means that we have now in our digital world. And I think it's also a round the world event, so people start in the morning in Australia and then it moves around the world as the sun goes. And last year I think Sujay broke the record with about 30 to 32 hours attendance to the virtual hackathon, just taking a break for a bit of sleep. So, sorry. Hackathons are also often an event where you can see a lot of faces that you normally don't see a lot, that you only meet via IRC. I mean, the conference does this as well, but Hackathon is a more compressed means of meeting and socializing with faces that you maybe have not seen for a full year, or that you wanted to talk to with for a long time. This year we had a really good year. Last year, those of you who have been at BeeCon 2016 might know that we did the hackathon on the second day of the conference while the main talks were going on. This proved to be a bit of a problem because, of course, we had a lot of interesting talks that people wanted to attend. So only we had about 4 to 6 people depending on the time of day. So this year the change was we did it on the first day before the main talks, and it worked out perfectly. We had about 23 people register, 25 people actually showed up. So somewhere along the way, somebody basically cloned himself, and we had 2 people more than had actually signed up, at least in my sheet. Of course, usually you lose a bit of people during the day due to some issues at work. What's interesting in this is that half of the people that attended this hackathon were people that never have attended a hackathon before, at least to what they reported on their registration sheet. So it was a great way to introduce new people to this type of hackathon, to this type of social event, and to work with them, learn how they are viewing Alfresco, how they are using Alfresco, and what kind of experiences they bring to the table. This is also always a nice effect of hackathon. This is basically the group photo that we did at the end of hackathon for all of the attendees that made it from the beginning to the end. But I would also ask now to just for all of these that attended the hackathon, just to stand up and make yourself visible, known to all of the other attendees. Yeah. Thank you. So as you can see, having 25 people from the conference attend, I mean, this is basically 10% of the total attendance of the BeeCon on average when you compare it. It's a really good quota. I don't know if we ever had double digit in terms of attendees compared to the total attendees of the conference. Yeah. And again, from comparison's sake, BeeCon 2016, we had about 6. So after all, yeah, so it's a bit of an improvement, let's say 400%. I think we can live with these numbers. I think if Alfresco sales would deliver these kinds of numbers, there would be much of champagne going on. Yeah. So after we've figured out who was going to be working on which project, on what ideas, with what kind of team composition, we basically started working. I think we started the hackathon at 10 o'clock and real work started at 11. We took the first hour basically for a bit of housekeeping, talking about ideas, discussing options, because obviously if you have a lot of new people, they might not have the experience or the know-how how to define or how to decide what they want to work on. They look up to, for example, Jeff, who participated, for guidance on how to work in a hackathon and what to get out of the session. So these are just a couple of snapshots from our session that definitely not showing everyone. So, as I said, we had about 6 teams, so 23 people in 6 teams. Not quite an even distribution, but really useful, and I think for all of the teams it worked out. So we had a project going on rule management, all of the Bee support tools add-on, which Bindu and I showcased also in the lightning talk today. An integration with RM, some revival of an old project around audio transcribing, real-time activity monitoring, and extraction of data from PDFs. Yeah, what you can see at the bottom is unfortunately a fragment from LibreOffice. It has some problems with long links. If you want to know what we worked on and what the idea were before we started to work, you can always check the community page where we provide our project compositions, our ideas, as well as links to the results of these projects. But before you go to that page and look for it yourself, we're going to start with a showcase of these projects in the order that we've listed, starting with the enhanced rule management.
G'day, how you going? I'm allowed to say that, I'm an Australian here. Okay, so, I'll use this thing. Our project that I was my first hackathon, so I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I started thinking of maybe I'll do some markdown, but Jeff said that he had some rule management that he wanted to help out with. So him, myself, and Francisco, we started work on Alfresco rule management. So you can see the GitHub up there, but I think there's a link on the community forum as well if you want to get access to it. It's all open source. So the project description is that folder rules in Alfresco, they're a great feature. Everyone's used them, obviously. There's a lesser known feature that you can actually link a folder rule to, say, another folder. So you can actually have the same folder rule applied in multiple different places. But what happens is that after a certain amount of time, it does become a bit harder to sort of manage those rules. So, scattered around the repository, and it's intensive to actually to really deal with that. So, duplicate rule sets, converting, say, a local rule to a shared rule, vice versa. So our goals for the hackathon were to create REST API to actually have a couple of actions that we could really run on the rules and start managing them. Start modifying the share interface so that we could actually configure and use the new REST API endpoints from share, so you don't have to use curl to actually use all that features that are there. And then possibly, if we got around to it, have some sort of admin console for bulk rule management, so like a table list of all the rules that are applied in Alfresco. So there are some REST API endpoints, and that was, I guess, Jeff's role. We've also got some bootstrap that happened as well. A folder create and data dictionary. My job was to do the share UI, which was in UE, unfortunately. So we do have a bit of a demo that I think Axel's helping get up. And so this is the demo of the module in action. So the first thing we'll show is that the bootstrap does happen, and we actually create a new folder called shared rules. So the idea is that all of the rules that are shared within Alfresco live in this folder. So when we want to share the rules between folders, we can basically apply the rule and then click a button to convert that to a shared. So what we can do is open up the rule management, click this convert to shared rule button here, change the name if we want to change the name, so it doesn't have to be the name of the folder, and then just click OK. And what that will do is, instead of a local rule, it actually now links it. So from a rules perspective, it actually does the same thing, but it just lives in a different place, and you can actually use that elsewhere. So if we go back and look at the repository now, you can see in the data dictionary in the shared rules folder, we actually do have that rule listed there. So you can start building up a list of common rules that you may want to apply to different folders. The next thing that we'll show, we don't actually have the shared UI interface for this yet. It is taking that rule and being able to link it to multiple places at once. So we've got 3 folders here that we want to link. So this is just a simple REST API call. There's some examples of this in the source of how you actually do this, but it's quite easy. You just have the home path and the target path, submit a post request, and then that will actually link the rules to the folders that you specified. So we refresh the page and see they're all linked there and they all have the same rules applied. And the last thing I guess we'll show is moving a rule. So I don't know if you guys have tried moving like folder rules from one folder to another. You basically have to delete it and then recreate it. It's pretty laborious to actually do that. So there's a RESTful endpoint available as well to be able to move that rule from the source to the target path. So obviously not quite finished yet, but work in progress, and in terms of what's capable, and there's already functionality you could probably use and find useful to start using this module now. So that's it.
Thank you, Peter.
Is it us?
Let's check it out. I should send you the link, but yeah, we are. So, yeah. What do you need? Do you need this piece? So, close it. Yeah. So I have HTML. It's HTML, it's DBI, not VGA. Now I see it. Yeah, I just saw this one.
Okay. This one.
Yeah. So during this session we will have to switch laptops a couple of times, but I hope you can bear with us.
You should switch to the mini DVI. Should switch to the mini DVI?
This one.
Fair enough. We have so many options.
VGA is on this. We have the technology. I don't know.
One more thing.
It's not Windows now.
Skip it.
I mean, you can
talk about it.
You can do the PDF from my side, at least.
I just want to point out when this happened to me, everybody blamed my Linux box.
It's your Linux box.
Come on, man, what's that problem?
Did you have your Linux box hooked up to this earlier today?
Yesterday evening.
Oh, okay.
So it's just going to be a PDF, no live demo unfortunately, but yeah, you can come to us afterwards or tomorrow to see it in action.
I might be able to record a video while other people are presenting too. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, so
6 people sign up to work on the kind of issues list for the Order of the Bee support tools, which we've talked about some already at the conference. So the Order of the Bee support tools project, if you haven't been at one of those sessions, basically brings the traditional enterprise-only support tools project plus some enhancements that aren't in the enterprise-only version to Community Edition and Enterprise Edition, so you can use it both places. And basically the proposal for the hackathon was just to have people work on the issue backlog. So we had a team of 6 people, Anna, Axel, myself, Cesar, Maria, and Michael. And we basically, it's challenging with 6 people to sort of figure out who's doing what. So Anna, myself, and Michael worked on a basic log snapshotting feature. So in the logs view, you click Start Snapshot, then you go reproduce some issue that you're having, and you click Stop, and it downloads the logs for the period of time between when you hit Start and Stop. So we'll enhance that a little bit so you can do lap events. So you can get events in your log when certain interesting things happen. But we just got the basics done. Axel worked on cache clearing, so there's a new feature in the Order of the Bee support tools where you can see all of the caches. So that's really useful for doing cache tuning. This basically allows you to clear the caches. So if a cache is getting too big, or you just need to see how the system performs when it's cleared out, you can just click a link and it clears out. I said Michael here, but it was Cesar. Sorry about that. Cesar worked on adding a Solar summary tab, so like there is in Enterprise, not the Enterprise support tools, but just in the Enterprise default admin tools. So he's basically copied that in and gotten it to work where basically we can call through to Solar to the summary report and get JSON back and then display that, which is pretty awesome. And then Maria started working on a feature to allow batch logger updating. So the way that the page works today is you can change any of the loggers on the screen and change the log level from error to debug or whatever, and it immediately refreshes and makes the log change. We want to get to a place where we can do presets where you can say, I would like to increase logging for CMIS or for database queries or for Kerberos, and we'll have some sort of preset set of loggers that are helpful when you're trying to dive into and debug those particular issues. So in order to do that, we need to be able to change a bunch of loggers at once. And so she made some good progress on that. That's it. Thank you.
I'm not a lawyer, but I have to add something to Bindu. We are not copying code from Enterprise to the community module. We are just re-implementing features based on the API that the community core already provides. So just so that Fresco doesn't get any ideas.
Hello, my name is Eva. This is my first time at BeeCon, and this was my first hackathon. But I've been working with Alfresco for more or less 10 years, and with records management heavily for the past year. And when I saw that David had a project on integrating with records management, I got really happy. So I joined him, and I was really glad I was able to help him. So, and now I'm going to pass the mic so he can tell about his idea, because the idea was his. Whenever he is ready.
Cool. So,
yeah, same as the Mac.
Yeah, he's a German keyboard, so might be probably.
Yeah, that confused me a little bit. But so my idea was to take the RM APIs that we've been working on in the government services team, and we're almost ready to release, and use them to connect Twitter through to Alfresco, so that, for example, every time a tweet was made, that would get declared as a record in a record management system.
Can we set that up to like Donald Trump's tweet and like archive all his shit?
Yeah,
If we wanted to do that, we could. You tell me if we want to do
Oh,
that.
I think I do.
Okay. So yeah, I thought that would be a really good example of stuff that we could do now. We've got these APIs. So one of the things I did before the hackathon was set up an AWS instance running RM using a snapshot build, which I was told was cheating a little bit, but we could have used a nightly, but I used a snapshot build from Bamboo. So one of the problems we had with if this then that was using authentication. The webhooks they supply don't allow us to get into to do any auth on the API calls that we needed to do.
You can't even put a header in the request. Yeah, there wasn't even header support, so it's a basic URL. That I believe you have a screenshot of that part just to see what the limitations we had at that point that we had to find a way to overcome. So we just had to input an URL. What was the method? If we do a post get put, I don't believe delete was an option. What was the body? What was the body? If it was JSON or plain text. So very limited options. And with Alfresco, we always need authentication, so we had to find another way. Do you want to continue?
You can continue.
Okay. So what we did was use Scripter just to host a little web service that was made with JavaScript that basically does what it does. Do a request to the Alfresco server for a ticket, and then we use that ticket to make the pull request to the public API for records management with the tweet info. So what IFTT does is call our this Scripter service that is in the middle with the tweet. We grab that, we ask Alfresco for a ticket, and then send the request. I believe that's the code we're seeing right now, and sends that request back to Alfresco with the tweet info. It's really a simple code, and it's kind of clean. But there are other ways to do this, not having to use Scripter, of course. That is not the better way. Was just a proof of concept. And now we can see, this was also tested, just you know, so there were multiple steps into this. So first this was tested with emails, so just on the first steps, okay, just let's see how this can work. We got it tested with emails, just using text services as well in Alfresco. So it can do almost anything. It's really amazing. So in here, we have this service on for like since Tuesday. So all the tweets that are for BeeCon 2017 are in our records management right now. Something there?
I don't have anything to add, no, but it was...
Maybe you could show a tweet or something.
Yeah, so we've done these as non-electronic records because the content isn't stored in the repository. So we've got the storage locations being the URL of the tweet. I don't know, can you see that? There we go. And yeah, we've got the text of the tweet in the description. And yeah, but you can put those anywhere in the APIs. So it's just a good proof of concept of the power of the APIs. And if you want to check out the code, then that's the GitHub. That's linked to from the project page. So, yeah, cool.
Thank you, Eva and David. Next up would be the team for the audio transcription. Where is Mikkel? There he is. So apparently there are just a couple more problems in IT than cache invalidation and eventual consistency.
No, but it's after that.
So for this hackathon, just quickly, so we can show you a little small demo of what we did. We just been playing with our old add-on that Fernando was working on, that transcribes audio and video files into text, guessing words with dictionaries and so on. And we found it that it could be useful for many use cases, like for example, digital asset management and so on. So it's actually right now it's just a simple repo action. We wanted to take it further, but we ran out of time. So you just now can select what content you want to transcribe, and it will just guess all the words inside, and then it just save it as an alfresco property. And it's based in this I can't really pronounce, but it's something like Sphinx library that sorry? Sphinx. Thank you. Library, and I didn't know it before the BeeCon, so I can't ask more questions. So Fernando knows a little bit more about how details inside how they work. So it's composed of language models and then acoustic models, and it's something about statistics. So you have to give him like a very big dictionary list, and it tries to guess which ones are inside the audio files. So that is everything. We have been thinking on how can this be used, and that's pretty all. And for this hackathon, we already achieved some of our goals, but we managed to make it working with 5.2 with SDK3, and then start to thinking on some improvements, but then we run it out of time. So that's it. So there's something to consider, and we found some limitation as well. So sorry, that's it.
Thank you. And next up would be Julio, the first week. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I was confused by your thank you.
No, it's short demo. Gestión de la palabra.
So it's very beautiful stuff. Yeah? The kind of it's a very small audio file that has only three words on it, and it looks like something like a minute to guess everything. But at the end, you get like that nice JSON over there in the middle with this 0, 5, and I didn't think it was 2, the other word. So that's the result. I thought you want to go and go live with that. Sorry. It's Windows.
This is why you're drinking a lot, right?
But it was funny. So you have to trust us that the property is there, then stored inside the node, so you can then see which words. Yes. It's maybe the audio going there. No. But it's HTML. No. The project was not so important.
I got common hackathon there.
Okay. Señala la propiedad. De abajo. Property.
Sorry for the technical problems. That's the mostly expected for a hackathon demo showcase. I mean, we had a bit more time than usual for preparation, but of course the sessions were quite exciting, and I think this might also contribute to not having enough time to prepare to work correctly. So if you want to have a look at it, maybe visit the guys later during the breaks and have a look at the demo on the system, which might be available along. I hope you're staying until tomorrow afternoon as well. Yeah, so have a look at them and see the demo for yourself in person. So now we are going to Julio with the real-time analytics of cities, or real-time monitoring activities.
So, hello all. My name is Julio. I've been working on Ixu since the last year. And at the moment I read about the hackathon, I took a look to the tools that I was playing with in the last month, and I decided to prepare a proof of concept about and monitor for our administrators to gather information about activities over nodes for creating, modifying, and removing nodes. And about the backend, it's based on Apache Kafka and WebSockets. Or you guys already know the limitations of Spring 3 with WebSockets, but I could secure those limitations using the Java standard. And I already had in my local an archetype about Fresco 5.1 and SDK 2.2, but I use it. This module is already uploaded to GitHub. Let's see how it works. In a quick look to the backend, it's only based in a okay. It uses behaviors for publishing consumers to the parsing message over Kafka. I have some domains and a WebSocket class that handle all requests for WebSocket. So I have a single site for my test, and here in administration tools, I created a new page in my code. Let's see if it loads. So I'm not an expert in UI, but I could create a simple page. Let's see. Okay. Well, the colors are not so well, but here you can select the site, or in this case only the site, but you could also filter by user. But you can select the site. And when you click on Start Monitoring, you create a WebSocket connection over that Fresco service. It's here. The connection now is established. Here you can see the Zookeeper server running and a Kafka broker. Only a single cluster, and a cluster with a single node. This is my Fresco, my Tomcat. And for example, if you open a new page with a different session, I will show you how the messages are displayed. Well, in the meanwhile, I was alone in my team because I arrived a bit later to the hackathon and all teams were well formed. But anyway, I could share a lot of my own opinions and ideas with some of you, and the activity was very, very interesting for me, and I recommend it. So if I upload a new file, for example an image, you will see here that the system gets an event of the node creation. I put the dates, then the user which created the node with a link to the user page. Also a description of the node with a link to the node ref. And it's 1, 2, 2. Using the user page, and this is the node. And also a message for updating of metadata. This is how all metadata that are created by default for the node, with the order and the newer value. Currently, all the properties are new. And for example, if we edit properties, I change the name, for example, new name, and I save it. Will show the next automatically. Kafka is very fast, and you have the chain of the metadata, and also new metadata for description and title. The format is not so pretty because, well, it's they are multilingual objects, and it's appearing in that format. And also for the deletions, if I remove this node, it's automatically appearing here. And also, I added some filters for select what kind of action I want to see in the monitor. Also, asking for stop monitoring. Now, if I add new items, you don't see them because the creation filter is. Let's see what's happened. Okay, there are no messages because the monitor is stopped. If we start again, we also can clear all records. Let's upload again. Let's configure only creation of only updates. So you only receive messages for modifications of or metadata. And you can select or change in any time the filters for hide the kind of message.
Thank you, Julian. Maybe you can give a few words about where you see this add-on going in the future, about the potential use for end user of Fresco.
Don't know. It was only for fun because it was playing with Kafka. Was very funny, but well, you know, imagination to this thing, and maybe you can find some application for that.
There's a question, a short question, hopefully.
It's just a very short question, because you were asking about the potential use, and we're actually building a very similar thing in our product, to have a real-time use notification for messages and alerts directly in the application. So. And actually we're using also Kafka for that. Yeah. So very similar.
Great. And as I said in the beginning, fun is also a valid reason to do this. So basically it doesn't have to have a purpose, just being fun and being something that you are interested in. So thank you again. And we have the last presentation. Oh, sorry, a round of applause again. And we have the last presentation about the text extraction from PDF from Simon.
Okay, thank you. So with two of my colleagues, so David Anton and Werner Nele, we arrived a little bit early, and we hadn't any ideas until this Monday about what we were going to do for the hackathon. So we decided to see ourselves on the customer side and to think about metadata extraction. And we thought that for typically some use cases for companies who have issues acquiring metadata from their output management provider because they're too small, because their use cases are really not enough, there isn't enough load to really, for the budget to how can I say, to be able to do a project and so on. So, and also we have also noticed on some clients, there is really sometimes long internal decision processes, and it's really a pain for the end users who have to enter metadata sometimes manually. So also we thought that for this kind of use case, what could be really interesting for the user is to be able to change and adapt himself without going into configuration files or going to asking for a Java developer to add new metadata extractor classes. And this end user would really need this extra option that we're going to show you. And also we had other ideas, but Jeff Potts already had written many articles about it, so we were forced to do it. So just for the concept, it was that you have a text PDF with certain areas where the user will indicate some metadata fields. So typically, in our case, we had some dummy text files with my name and the place that will need to be extracted. So now we will do the live demo and hope the gods are with me. So it was a 1.5 day development. So we decided to use the data lists for the end user to be able to put in the metadata fields that he wanted to extract. So, and we plugged it on a behavior that when the document is updated, created, it will launch our extraction code. So typically for our case, I don't know if you have also this performance issues with the SDK3. I put 2 gigabytes of RAM on my Tomcat, but it's really sometimes really slow. So, so here we have our document that was uploaded, and we will change just the type to for the metadata fields to be present. And here we will see that the document author is myself, or what was extracted in the document in our case. Just to show you that I'm not cheating, I will add another data field and show and will prove that it works. I'll drop the mic. Thank you. That's just something maybe. Oh. Can you sing a karaoke song for us? And here we have, so the, well, I think you all know, the custom field, the configuration. So we have coordinates. We can search by coordinates, like I showed you. We also, but it's not finished yet, also by regex. So parse the entire text and search for a particular regex expression and extract the metadata field. And here are the coordinates that we need. And so it is saved, and I will go back to my previous, to the presentation, and do exactly what I did and show you that it works. Or I hope. were singing, not here.
I know maybe you could make a feature request for the SDK3 to play Jeopardy music.
Ah, yeah, good one, good one. Yeah, then I have to explain to my boss why sometimes development takes so much time. It's not my fault. So here we have my other colleague, Bernanele. Correctly pronounced? Okay, thank you. Oops. And change the type and the BeeCon document type. And here we have, just to show you, I didn't cheat, and the city Zaragoza. And that's it.
So this was the last demo. Oh, sorry.
And just for ideas, we would like to have a QR code reader, barcode reader, other text formats, maybe OCR, and UI for the coordinates for really being user friendly, and do more tests in our code. And the GitHub, just in case, and I think I was the last one. So.
Thank you again. So this was the last demo, so please give a round of applause for everyone who presented. I also want to thank everyone who participated in the hackathon, especially those who were there the first time, because I can remember how anxious I was before my first hackathon. It's always a big of a challenge getting into a community that is unknown to you, that you don't know how the day is going to be played out. So thank you for taking the risk or taking the chance and working together with us on some cool, interesting ideas. So if you're interested in joining a hackathon in the future, keep in mind that we will have a virtual global hackathon again in the second half of this year. And of course, I hope to see you, or some of you, in one of the next hackathons at a real place, for example, the next BeeCon next year or the next Fresco conference. So thank you for your attention for the showcase. I think Arthur has a couple of announcements for this afternoon or for this evening's activities. And from my side, thank you again for your attention.